avoid the fiscal cliff. And Douglas Holtz-Eakin is the former director of the Congressional Budget Office and currently the head of American Action Forum. And we just flipped our rising above pin, Doug, on the screen there. So we're going to ask you to rise above. Seems like watching some of the weekend shows, the Republicans have moved a little bit on this tax issue, at least accepting or at least suggesting that they're willing to actually go up on the revenue side. I even got the sense they might even be willing to go on the actual rate itself, but maybe I'm reading too much into it. What do you think?
Well, I think it's been pretty obvious for a while that, since John Boehner put revenue on the table with the president last summer in 2011, we saw it in the super committee. There's never been an objection to more revenue. There's been, in some cases, concern about how the revenue gets raised. And obviously, I think the question now is, when do you raise the revenue? Because it's baked in the cake that we're going to tax the wealthy more heavily beginning January 1 with the Affordable Care Act. We have, the surtax on net investment income and also their payrolls. We've got the payroll tax holiday expiring. It seems to me that the real danger is trying to get too much in the lame duck, really risking an economic downturn. And they should really settle the lame duck, get through it safely, and focus on the big deal in the spring.
So you don't think we're going to hear too much on entitlements then, over the next month and a half?
There's a difference.
That's the crucial element of all of this. It seems like the tax part is just a component of that.
Sure, no. I think if you're talking about how do we solve our fiscal problems, the heart of that is the entitlements. Obviously, the revenue discussion's been going on. There's a different question, which is how do you get past this automatic sunset of all the taxes in December, the automatic spending cuts? It seems to me that's a real economic danger, and that the primary thing should be to recognize that, the payroll tax holiday is going away, the Affordable Care Act taxes are coming. Those are baked in the cake. Doing as little more in the lame duck as possible to get through to the spring is the key.
Hey, Doug, I think about the way that we're talking now, and if we went up 39.6 on 250, or if we did it on $1 million, it's either $80 billion a year if you go above 250, or if you go all the way up to $1 million, it's a fraction of that. And then, okay, and that's these guys want that. That's all they think about. Can someone explain to them, if you were to get rid of some loopholes and broaden the base, like a guy like Warren Buffett, if you raise 4% of his income, he doesn't pay himself any income. All that money is sitting. All that money is sitting there, and you can't touch
capital gains,
that's what I'm talking about. Why not do the rich people? The really rich people don't have any ordinary income. You can't touch them. Can't you just tell these Democrats that you can nail rich people a lot better this other way? And if you could convince them of that, then they'd feel good. Can we? They would then understand that broadening the base, this huge amount of money that's out there that you can't touch by playing with ordinary income, but you do it with the loopholes, getting rid of those. If you could convince them, they would understand that's the way to get out a lot more money to try to get a lot more revenue.
Well, I think the base broadening makes sense from 2 points of view. Number one, there's the revenue issue, which is obviously a big deal. But number two, our tax code's a mess. It's a great disservice to the economy to have a tax code that drives decisions on tax purposes, not on business principles. So the base broadening is something that ought to happen for good economic policy. We're going to have to grow as rapidly as we can, both on behalf of the people who are badly out of work and the fact that we need resources. There are enormous demands. So that should be a given, that we do some sort of serious tax reform. I understand they want to get high-income people. They're getting it with this surtax, 4% on their net investment income. They may want more. But never forget that once you do all that, we still aren't even close to solving our debt problems unless there's a serious entitlement reform.
What is the chance we get a deal early, meaning that we're not waiting till the last day of December at 11:59. There's already a worry and a real concern that we're going to... No, there's a real concern that unto itself, this entire conversation is creating a level of uncertainty that might be slowing down the economy.
Look, this should have been done a long time ago. Every day we don't do it actually does inflict economic harm. The uncertainty is a dangerous thing. The IRS does actually have to print tax forms, and you have to know what the tax code is. The sooner this is done, the better. Having said that, you know the track record as well as I do. It often goes to the last minute, and I'm afraid we might see that again.
Doug, it's Dave. The U.S. tax rate on corporations, 35%.
Right.
It's a real challenge for us in terms of we're trying to create value around the world, and yet there's no tax rate of any industrialized country that's anywhere close to 35%, which creates a lot of incentives.
What's your effective rate? You're talking like a republic. What,
no,
so if it's good for you, if it's good for you,
what is this government's effective corporate tax rate?
Well, it's a little bit higher than 35%, and candidly,
really,
we're working hard to get it down because we do business in over 200 countries. So if there's significant,
you should love Simpson Bowles because it's going to bring down the rates and get rid of loopholes that other companies.
Bringing the rates down of corporate tax is a very big issue.
But it's got to be done in combination. It's got to be done in combination.
Why don't you have like
of course there has to be.
It's all about social issues for you. I mean, you talk. I listen to you. You make so much sense.
You should be agreeing with me.
I'm trying to, but I see what you normally like, and then you know
why you don't have like a limited liability corporation in Ireland or something. What are you doing wrong?
You turn into a pretty good Republican when it affects you.
We are looking at taking a fair amount of our. We have to. All media companies, anybody that does business around the world has to say, if we do business here, it's 35%.
You're absolutely right.
If we do business somewhere else, it's 20%. And shareholders would say, yes, we have to create value for America, but we also have to be practical. The good news for us is we're really in business, and we're not pushing something out to these countries. We got boots on the ground all over the world.
But
Doug,
you want a fairer tax code, too.
Fairer tax code. And what is
on the upper end? I can't believe
Doug, what do you think about the tax rate for corporations? Where will we end up on that?
This is what
we are way out of line in two ways. Number one, the tax rate's too high. Number two, we're the last big country trying to tax worldwide income. And that hurts international companies because if you're in Brazil competing with a German firm, the German firm has an enormous tax advantage. They're paying only the Brazilian tax. Our firms are paying Brazilian tax plus the second layer of tax in the U.S. So we need to fix that. We've got to get the rate down to something that looks like 25% or lower. I think the president's proposal to 28 just isn't aggressive enough. And again, my fear is that if you only go to 28, you won't benefit enough firms that they'll be willing to give up their special tax privileges in exchange for a lower rate, and the deal falls apart. So an aggressively lower rate's the key there.
I don't know what to make of this. Anyway, Doug, thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if we have more questions now than we have answers, but it is what it is.